Hello, Adauto. How are you today?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So, thanks for participating in this interview. Um, so, I'd like just for you to present yourself a little bit.
Okay. I'm Adauto. I'm a Brazilian architect. I've been living in Australia for 5 years now. At first, I came here to study English, and I ended up getting a job, starting to work as an architect, as a draftsperson at first, and then after as an graduate architect, and that's what I'm doing
Mhm.
currently. Uh, I came to Australia because I knew the life quality here was good, and I was keen to learn more about the international market in my field, and has been a great experience so far. All the local construction methods and the difference that we're having between Brazil and Australia in terms of architecture has been very rich in terms of knowledge for me. And yeah, that's it.
Cool. Um, and I'm doing like this job about Bean software. So I guess that in Australia, we do you think that people use more Bean here than in Brazil, or did you see any difference?
Far more, far more. It's very funny to see the difference because when I first came to Australia, I was one of the only people who could operate Revit in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
And Revit's one of the softwares on the platform being.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a lot more, but this is also another information that I learned in here in Australia. I didn't even know Bing had more softwares than Revit when I was in Brazil. I thought it was only Revit.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah.
and my knowledge was very, very little in comparison to what I got here after my experience in Australia. Uh, in Australia, they use, I would say, 80% of the offices nowadays only operates with
With
any
Revit.
some of the softwares of the platform being.
Mm-hmm.
and and whilst in Brazil probably it is not more than 20%
Something like
or
that. Yeah.
40% at most, being optimistic. I'm still part of some groups, like WhatsApp group or Facebook group of the people who was studying with me in Brazil
Mm-hmm.
when I was at the uni, and all of them are always talking about sharing blocks and files in SketchUp and AutoCAD. It's very rare to see anyone talking about like, do you have this family in Revit or this blocking ArchiCAD or
Arcade.
anything. It's very rare.
Yeah, that's really funny. I feel the same. And do you think that like this is obviously like if you know this Bean software like is obviously like a extra point for you, or maybe do you think that make it easier to find a job here in Australia or maybe somewhere else?
Much more easy, much more easy, especially because the your door to the market in Australia, to the local market, most of the time it's going to be to start as a draftsperson. And if someone is hiring someone to be a draftsperson, the most important requirement is that you need to be a master in the software, right? So if you're gonna work as an architect, of course the knowledge in architecture is the most important for you, because at the end of the day the software is just a tool for you.
Mhm.
That's how it should be. But if you are applying for a position as a draftsperson, the most important thing for you is going to be your level of knowledge in the software,
Mhm.
and of course in detailing and all the documentation stuff. But you need to master the software in order to be like outstanding
Mhm.
among the other candidates. So it put you in a much better position when you have the knowledge of the software.
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. Um, so another question that I was gonna make for you, if was there any piece of software that you are not familiar when arriving in Australia? So I guess you already answered that.
Well,
So yeah.
even with the Revit was the only software of the Being platform that I was aware before coming to Australia, right? But
Hmm.
even within Revit, my knowledge was like very rusty, I would say, because I was not using very often, and the stuff that I was using Revit with was very basic, I would say. So my first contact here with Revit was in a very good office, and the size of the projects that they were designing was huge. It was like more than $100 million budget for the project. So they of course they were using much more like tools and resource from Revit that I was used to.
Hmm.
So one of them that it was the one that was very like marked me a lot was the collaboration, the possibility of everyone working the same file
That's
and
nice.
not having a problem with this. That's the one that for me was like the most amazing of all. Because in AutoCAD, you
Yeah.
either work in a file or your friend work in a file. You can't work at the same time in the same file.
Yeah.
And Revit gives you this option. So this was something that for me was priceless.
Amazing. Um, and can I ask you something like, what if like, uh, do you know? Wait, let me have a look here. So mainly you've been using Revit, right? Like you haven't used much of ArchiCAD or other Beam softwares, right?
No, no. ArchiCAD, I started learning ArchiCAD.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I know the basics. I know how to do some of the actions that you need to do when you're operating, but
Mm-hmm.
not.
Okay.
And, and I tried to learn Vectorworks as well, but Vectorworks was very different than everything that I've seen before. And then I just gave up because I was learning just for the sake of learning.
Uh, yeah, fair enough. And based on your experience, like where do you think Beam software technologies are heading to? So, like, do you think that this Beam technology is going to grow or not very much? Some other software will appear that is going to be better, or with this Beam technology will only get bigger?
Well, Bing technology is more like it's building information modeling, right?
Hmm.
And we are heading to the time of the artificial intelligence. Eh? So I think uh, Bing platform it puts in practice everything that we learn in terms of construction, in terms of like material performance, in terms of uh, building management. Because Bing doesn't go just doesn't work only for construction. It goes for the maintenance of the building. It goes for the construction site. It goes for designing for all the aspects of the building
Hmm.
itself. So I think what is going to happen in the future and what is actually what is happening to all the like the fields of technology is that being's going to start being being's going to start being being's going to start being the more automated in all the aspects, and the architect and the interior designer or any operator of the tool will actually be concentrated just in the creativity part of it, you
Yeah.
know,
Hmm.
rather than stay documenting and doing all this stuff that are like technical and manual, because
Hmm.
all of this stuff is just a matter of like data collection, you know,
Yeah.
and will be like every day more advanced and every day more automated, and you won't need to worry about all these details that should be yeah, robotic, you know.
Yeah, like in a Revit, like if you put like the wall, you can already detail like everything in the wall, or maybe create something that will just put all the details straight away.
Yeah, because for example, uh, when I'm building a wall in Revit, let's say I'm creating a new type of wall in Revit. I still need to give to Revit all the information that I want to give to the wall. So I want to have X amount of layers of structure, and one layer of plasterboard, and one layer of fiber cement, or one layer of painting. All this kind of stuff actually should be, uh, I'm gonna use this wall for internal purpose,
So,
and I
mhm.
want, what are the options for internal purpose? You could either use the, for the regulations of Australia and the what is available in the market. You could use a stud wall with plasterboard on both sides, and the stud's gonna be 13 mils. You know,
Yeah,
uh, except this wall